sign? I usually have it on my desk.
Oh, he's right there. In the orange shirt. You don't see him? He's on the third row.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Village of Ruidoso regular meeting. It's May 13th. It's 1 o'clock. If you'll stand with me, we'll have a moment of silence and then the pledge. Pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for blowing in. And we have not heard anything from P&M on a public power shutoff, so Lord willing, we won't have any. A roll call, please, ma'am.
Mayor Crawford,
Here.
Counselor Eby,
Here.
Counselor Salas,
Here.
Counselor Hooker,
Here.
Counselor Jackson,
Here.
Counselor Corey,
Here.
Counselor Letterman is absent. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Okay, excellent. And everybody knows we got the big Ren Fair coming into town. You how I know? The Patchouli Soap Fairy showed up. I'm always talking about patchouli. Man, I'm gonna fit right in over there. That's good. And somebody said we're having a motorcycle rally. Is that right?
I looked on the IN's website just now, and there's nothing.
No,
listed.
nada. Okay, well, I didn't think there was, so I was just checking. Can I get approval of today's agenda, please?
Mr. Mayor, move that the agenda be approved as presented and allow the chair to move items for discussion at will.
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Hooker,
Aye.
Counselor Corey,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Okay, we're going to go move through some of these pretty quick. We got people who need to get back to work, and somebody's wife's retiring today, so they want to go to a party. Consent regular items, approval of governing body minutes, April 8th, 2025 regular meeting, April 23rd, 2025 workshop meeting, April 24th, 2025 special meeting, April 24th, 2025 workshop meeting, May 6th, 2025 workshop meeting, May 6th, 2025 special meeting. Item number 2, approval of amendment number 2024-004 P04 with Souder Miller and Associates to provide design and bid service for wastewater collection improvements in the Country Club subdivision in the amount of $231,284.32, including New Mexico GRT. Long overdue. Item number 3, approval of award of RFP number 2025-011P to Stagg Louisa LLC for professional legal service for special PFAS litigation counsel. That's the forever chemicals that you're hearing about every day. Number 4, approval of agreement with Stagg Louisa LLC for professional legal service for special PFAS litigation counsel awarded through RFP number 2025-011P. Item number 5, approval of adoption of resolution 2025-14, adopting a revised travel policies and procedures manual, providing for the repeal or prior resolution and written travel policies and procedures and an effective date. Item number 6, approval of adoption of resolution 2025-16, a resolution amending the Village of Ruidoso Personnel Policy, Chapter 4, Sections 2 through 6, Pay, Chapter 4, Section 8, Shift Differential, Chapter 5, Section 6, scheduling, Chapter 6, Section 9, employee acknowledgement. Item number 7, approval of joint powers agreement between the Village of Ruidoso and the Ruidoso Downs Racetrack for providing security for special events for the 2025 race season. Item number 8, approval of joint powers agreement between the Village of Ruidoso and the Ruidoso Jockey Club for providing security for special events for the 2025 race season. Item number 9, approval of memorandum of understanding between the Village of Ruidoso and the City of Ruidoso Downs as the administrative authority for the Ruidoso Downs Police Department for DWI enforcement and reimbursement of costs in amount not to exceed $2,000 for the period of time between July 1, 2025 and May 31st, 2026. Item number 10, approval of memorandum of understanding between the Village of Ruidoso, the County of Lincoln as the administrative authority for the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office for DWI prevention enforcement activities and reimbursement of costs in an amount not to exceed $4,000 for the period of time between July 1, 2025 and May 31st, 2026. Item number 11, approval of memorandum of understanding between the Village of Ruidoso as the fiscal agent for the Lincoln County Ruidoso DWI program and the Village of Ruidoso as the administrative authority for the Ruidoso Police Department for DWI enforcement and reimbursement of costs in the amount not to exceed $4,000 for a period of time between July 1, 2025 and May 31st, 2026. Item number 12, approval of memorandum of understanding between the Village of Ruidoso in the town of Carrizozo as the administrative authority for the Carrizozo Police Department for DWI enforcement and reimbursement of costs in the amount not to exceed $1,000 for the period of time between July 1, 2025 and May 31st, 2026. Item number 13, approval of memorandum of understanding between the Village of Ruidoso and the Village of Capitan as the administrative authority for the Village of Capitan Police Department for DWI enforcement activities and reimbursement of costs in an amount not to exceed $1,000 for the period of time between July 1, 2025 and May 31st, 2026. Item number 14, approval of second renewal of contract with services for Capitan Therapy and Behavioral Health, LLC, to provide therapy and treatment for alcohol, substance abuse, and anger management in the amount not to exceed $6,000 for the period of time between July 1, 2025 and June 15, 2026. Item number 15, approval of second renewal of contract for services with Hope Floats Addiction Counseling, LLC, to provide individual and group alcohol and domestic violence offender treatment in the amount not to exceed $6,000 for the period of time between July 1, 2025 and June 1st, 2026. Item number 16, approval of subgrant agreement between the Village of Ruidoso as the fiscal agent for the Lincoln County Ruidoso DWI program and the Department of Public Safety, State of New Mexico, acting through the Grant Accountability and Compliance Section, GACS, for DWI enforcement and the reimbursement of costs in the amount not to exceed $4,000 for the period of time between July 1st, 2025 and May 31st, 2026. Number 17, approval of fifth renewal agreement between the Village of Ruidoso and William and/or Elizabeth Hanson, DBA Hanson Consulting, for professional services for a DWI grant program coordinator to run from July 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2026 in the amount not to exceed $90,000. And if I'd have just said MOU instead of memorandum a bunch of times, we'd have been through with that a few more minutes.
Mayor, I move approval of the consent agenda as read.
Okay,
Second.
any discussion?
Yes, sir. If I may, real quick, just for those out in the public, as you see, we've read this stuff. You haven't been here before. The prior meeting on Mondays at 8 o'clock, open meeting in here, we discuss these things, go over stuff, and find out that it's not something that we need to be labored here with. So that's why it goes on consent. Thank you.
And I'll add on one item in there, someone was going to Facebook, and if it's on Facebook, it's true. They thought it was a conflict of interest that the village had a joint powers agreement between the racetrack and then one with the jockey club. What this is for is no different than the high school football game. If the police show up to help with traffic control or whatever, and it's on the big race days. So that's what that's all about. But thank you so much, and I won't say your name, for your concern. Every year.
I will add, I mean, that service has been offered over a decade.
Yeah, we've been doing it for
We've been
years,
doing it
so
for a long time when they asked, and,
that's what happens.
you know.
Okay, we'll have public input, and we do have,
Can we have
oh, we got to do the vote. I just felt very confident.
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
All right, now we'll move on, thank you, everyone, to public input. And we have Bill Hall. So good to see you, Bill.
It's always good to see you guys. I'm sure that's on. Well, initially, I didn't have anything to say, but then Rifle said, put your name down because you'll think of something before the time comes.
I don't believe that.
You don't believe that? Well, no, I just wanted to take today to just publicly thank our chief of police for another successful Citizens Police Academy. Learned a lot of things. I will tell you this, if you haven't gone, you should go. You will understand what suicide murder is, and I guarantee you will never look at a Thanksgiving stuffed turkey the same way again. Those of us that have been there have been it, and also for my favorite officer there who has a great sense of humor. But that's all I want to say. I just want to thank them publicly and encourage people that are listening online. If you have that opportunity, take it. You understand a lot more what goes on. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff with the police is all negative. If you watch the news, there's a lot of really good people that the village has here. Yes, we're understaffed. We need more people. But as I said, it's an interesting look to understand the bigger picture rather than just what you see on the news or Facebook.
You bet. Thank you, Bill.
That's
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll just add there, the police thwarted a robbery at Johnston Jewelers yesterday, broad daylight, and made an arrest, and then in the subsequent arrest of that individual, got 2 more. So anyway, great job. Michael Morrow. It's good to see you, Michael. It has been a bit. So we all want to know retirement's good?
Oh, you know, it's busy.
It's busy, okay.
Yes, yeah. My boss is a jerk. And
Is that you?
well, yeah.
Yes.
Mayor, manager, members of the council. I'm here today to ask you for something, which I'm sure that's no big surprise. I'm sure most people that are here are asking for something or complaining, so I'm going to do the former instead of the latter. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Pull that
All
down
right.
there.
Yeah, pull it down a little bit so the millions around the world can hear you.
Okay, all right. Some of you knew Virgil Reynolds, the former fire chief.
Yes.
Some of you worked with him, some of you probably don't know him, so I'm gonna give you a little bit of a backstory. And I'm gonna try to keep it pretty short. How long do I have, Mr. Mayor?
5 minutes?
5 minutes,
Well, it's
okay.
4.5 minutes now,
You can
Mike.
start the time now. Okay, so Virgil grew up here, and he went to school at Ruidoso. He graduated Ruidoso High School. He was a Warrior, played football for the Warriors here in Ruidoso. And Virgil graduated in 1963, and shortly thereafter got married and went to work for the Village of Ruidoso. He's worked for the Village of Ruidoso for, all said and done, 43 years before his retirement in 2007. Most of that time was spent with the Ruidoso Fire Department. Not all of it, but a big majority of it was. He was one of the first 3 firefighters that was ever hired. It happened in 1968. So he was a volunteer for many years, and then in 68, the village hired its first 3 paid firefighters, and he was one of those. He continued in that capacity for about 14 years until in 1982, I believe it was, Ruidoso hired its very first fire chief, and Virgil Reynolds was selected to be the fire chief. So not only was he one of the first firefighters, he was also the very first fire chief that we had here. In that time, Station 2 was built. Station 2, not where you think of it now, it was over between the post office and Elegante. So that was the first Station 2. Once he became fire chief, they had another Station 2 built, which is where it is now, to offer fire protection up on the north end of town. And then he had Station 3 built out on the west end of town, along with the village administration at that time, to provide fire protection to the west end of town and also the Upper Canyon. As the fire department grew, it went from 3 people in its inception to 21 before Virgil actually retired, and then 3 stations. I started in 2001, and back then, Fire Station 1 was over on Sutterth and Eagle, if you'll remember. We outgrew that station pretty quickly. The fire engines just got way too big for that station. They were too tall and too long. So Virgil, along with the village administration and the state of New Mexico and selling some bonds and a little thing called a mill levy, we were able to secure the funding to build the station that you see now over on Sudreth. That station didn't get completed before Virgil retired in 2007, but it was just almost there. So he got to oversee a lot of that. He would come and visit us. Yes, sir.
2 minutes
Okay.
left.
He got to come and visit us, and he got to see it furnished and completed. And so he never got to sit behind the chief's desk at that time. But unfortunately, Virgil passed away in January of last year. As I said, he retired in 2007. So I would like to formally ask this governing body to name Station 1 the Virgil Reynolds main station. And I know there's some complications, a little bit of trouble on naming something after somebody. He's passed away now. Those of you that don't know his wife, Miss Betty, she's still alive. And I think it'd be a great honor for her and for his kids and his grandkids and his great-grandkids, and to see his name up on that building in honor of him and the years that he served this community. And that's my request of this administration. I'm sure you can get it done.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, we'll move on to mail reports and presentation. Presentation of the new employees. And we have some new employees. Man, we're fortunate all the time to get to add a few. And we're so happy that we get some of these guys. We talked about this one on the radio the other day. Christopher Kelly, Police Department, Animal Control Officer, is just hired. Welcome to have you. Walk up there. You don't have to, but just we want to know who you are. And I know you were in the military for 13 years.
Yes, sir.
And so just tell us where you came from, and we're glad you're here.
I appreciate it. I'm originally from Georgia, born and raised. My last duty station was Camp Humphreys, Korea. What brought me here was my fiance.
A woman, we know. That's what most of them. That's our whole new hiring deal. We got women. Maybe. That's what we're working on.
I love the area. I love the small town vibe. It reminds me of my home before it got industrialized. And
You're good. Chill out. It's
I was told to say aerosol.
aerosol.
Dope on a rope.
That was my last duty station before I finished up my last year in Korea.
All right. We'll keep you around.
I don't know what that means.
He's aerosol.
Oh, aerosol. I thought you said
that's
like
the guys
aerosol.
that they roll out underneath the helicopter, whereas us airborne guys, we were the fools that jumped out
Out
of
of
it.
there. Okay. Okay. Well, we're glad to have you. Hopefully you have a good, long career here.
Oh, yes, sir.
And that we don't get too industrialized. Make a note of that. So, but we appreciate it. Hope things work out well for you and you're here a long time.
Yes, sir.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you for your service.
Todd Keller, Solid Waste. Bear Mess. That a boy. How are you doing? Good,
Hey.
man. We love you guys. You can come up here if you want to. Usually you guys are better behind the scenes, but we'll just get a good look at you. Well, these guys right here, and I've got a bear on my street, and somebody's posting them. They're out everywhere. So that's why we keep the dumpsters closed, because they will get in it. But it's not just that. It's the people that drop off their trash, their furniture.
Yeah, and then people, they drop all kinds
Yeah.
of furniture.
So tell us about yourself, Todd.
I'm originally from Albuquerque. I've lived in Ruidoso for like the last 7 years. I've done a lot of retail, like in the grocery stores and stuff like that. And I just had to get a different change. I live here with my girlfriend, and, yeah, I appreciate the opportunity with the village.
Well, I hope you enjoy your time here.
Right on.
You're with a good group, and we love what you guys do and with Jerry, so thank you very much.
Appreciate
We're here
it.
for you. Corwin Jones, Water Distribution Utility Warehouse. Hello, Corwin. Are you just going to talk from there? Okay, that's okay.
I didn't know I was gonna be on TV today, so
Well, hey,
how you guys doing?
we're
Great,
good.
thanks.
We're glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm from West Texas.
What part?
National Park Service, near, Big Bend, National.
Oh, you are, yeah.
Yeah, near the border. Came here, I love the area. I've been coming out here for a few years and I wanted to try something.
Well, we're glad to have you. Hopefully you have a long career.
Yes, sir.
And we're here for you if you ever need anything. So thank you, Corwin.
I also want to just, say thanks to Samantha Morris. She's been very hospitable, training me, helping me, and Marty, Lumen, my sister.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, see?
We're gonna call
What's
up, check
up?
Sam's pockets on that one. Well, Marty will take anything he can get at this point. Quentin Schmelzenbach.
Yeah,
Did
that's
we
a
even
handle.
get close? That wasn't close, was it? Schmelzenbach?
Actually, it was pretty good.
Oh, okay, excellent.
If you ignore the CHs, it makes it a lot easier.
Okay. Fire department, firefighter, go ahead.
Yeah, I was born here in Ruidoso. I grew up halfway between here and South Pacific, so, my parents were in disaster relief organizations down there, and so that's where I fell in love with public service and, decided to start a new career at fire department.
Well, we're glad you made it through the PAC test and all the other stuff, because we had some that didn't.
Yes, sir.
So that's a pretty tough deal. So thank you for being here, and hopefully you have a long time here.
I look
So we,
forward to it.
then you can be like Morrow. He already left, didn't he?
He said his piece.
Yeah, he don't even stick around. He just rides his motorcycle. So anyway, thank you very much. Interns, Carrie Baker, Emergency Management. Hi, Carrie.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
So you're looking for emergency management as a career?
No.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I'm actually going to school in the fall for environmental science.
Okay.
and Land restoration.
Sure.
This was just a good opportunity to kind of learn.
Well, you get to work with some good folks over there that have a lot of tactful information, know how to do it. So are you from here?
No, I'm from Clovis. I just separated from the Navy and I went reserves and I'm just here for the fall, or the summer.
Okay. Well, we're glad to have you.
great.
Navy's lost our game. Thank you very much. Brianne Lucero, Finance. Boy, this one. Brianne?
She's working at her
Chicken.
desk.
See,
She's
see, hard
afraid.
at it.
She can hear me. Well, we really need her in finance, and we're so glad to have her. Blake Temple, Fire Department, firefighter. Hello, Blake.
All right, Blake.
Hey, everybody.
How are you?
My name's Blake. I'm very good, sir. I'm originally from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm a father and of 3 and a husband. And I've been coming to Ruidoso for almost 29 years. And I've been in love with this community for a long time, and I feel very privileged to be able to serve y'all at any capacity. So thank y'all for having me.
Well, we're glad to have you. Anybody loves Ruidoso, we love them back, so we appreciate you coming in. You're going to love it over there, you will. So, got a lot of things planned over there in that department. At least that's what they tell me. And that right, Chief? He's already got another fire station going, working on it. Okay, we have some proclamations. I used to make fun of Tom Batten for this, and now I understand it. Okay, this is proclamation for Public Works Professional Day. Whereas Public Works Professional Day is a vital role as a frontline responder whose dedicated efforts protect our infrastructure, environment, and public health. And whereas during emergencies and disasters such as wildfires, floods, snowstorms, and infrastructure failures, Public Works teams are among the first to respond and the last to stand down, clearing roads, restoring utilities, supporting evacuation efforts, and ensuring the continuing, is that right? I can't read it, of essential services. And whereas the Village of Ruidoso has experienced firsthand the unwavering courage, skill, and commitment of its Public Works Department during incidents such as the South Fork Fire and the Salt Fire wildfires, the post-burn scar flooding, and various winter weather events. And whereas these professionals have operated heavy equipment in active fire zones, erected protective barriers in rising floodwaters, kept critical roads open for emergency vehicles, and worked tirelessly to restore safe living conditions for our residents and businesses. And whereas their actions in hazardous and emotionally taxing conditions have directly protected lives, supported emergency operations, and accelerated recovery efforts, exemplifying the highest standards of public service and resilience. And whereas the 2025 National Public Works Week theme, People, Purpose, Presence, effectively reflects the essential role these unsung heroes play every day, and especially during times of crisis. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Lynn D. Crawford, Mayor of the Village of Ruidoso, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2025 as Public Works Month in the Village of Ruidoso, and I urge all citizens to recognize and thank the dedicated members of our Public Work Department for their extraordinary service, bravery during emergencies, and commitment to the safety, strength, and resilience of our community. Proclaim this 13th day of May 2025 in Ruidoso, New Mexico. So who gets to come up here and get this? Because while I'm reading that, a bunch of faces are all flashing in front of my face, and I can see a bunch of them on the back row. When we had the floods, and people, I saw Will pulling people out there on Sutter, pulling them out of the water, out in front of the old Adobe Plaza, and different ones of you that were pulling people out, driving them to safety, having them follow you, and everything that was done. And Adam, and we just had a sanitary survey conference that's going on, I guess still right now, where we were able to recognize our water department people and these guys. Adam is your utility director. If you don't know who he is, you should. And then we've got our streets guy here. He's going to be real popular here before long. He's breaking out the asphalt, getting to work. And then Marty, anytime there's a water leak, anything, these guys. So thank you, Adam. Thank you guys for that. But these guys during the fire, they got out, these just part of the crew were able to valve in the water, shut things in, and we didn't lose pressure on our water system. We didn't have any contamination. And so we were able to keep our water, our wastewater, everything functioning. We just had to make more water, and now we're repairing. But these guys know their job better than anybody. And it was very evident. We had the big shots in from the state to New Mexico Environmental Department. Guys that used to chew on me when I was a counselor, working with Joe Rifle was here at the water production plants, because we weren't doing things really good way back then. And now then, these guys they're writing white papers on them. They're showing other people on how they do. So you guys do an excellent job. We appreciate it. And anytime, like I said, you get the notices, you hear about water outages, or if you have water out, these are the guys that are out no matter what time of the day. It's always either cold, but it's most certainly wet. And so we have some of them in the audience, and we thank you guys for everything that you do. So appreciate you guys. And they knew that instead of reading that little bitty print, they gave me a big one, and I didn't do that. So I'll pay attention next time. Well, I know it's getting really bad, but I just took this and laid it down. Professional municipal clerk. Now we know why we got the big print, because Vaughn wanted to make sure that we got to hear it all. If y'all don't know our clerks, this is our clerk over here, Jenny Turry, and the one and only Yvonne Bartz, right there. What? Oh, it's V-Hill now. Oh, okay. Well,
When did that happen?
quickly, evidently. Oh. Well, it took me that long to learn Bartz, so. You don't look like a Bartz now to think about it. Professional Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk, and time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the the local governing bodies and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, and whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, and whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the professional municipal clerk. Now, therefore, I, Lynn Crawford, Mayor of the Village of Ruidoso, do hereby recognize the week of May 4th through the 10th, 2025 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Jenny Turi, and to all professional clerks, municipal clerks, for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Proclaim this 13th day of May 2025 in Ruidoso, New Mexico. Thank you, guys. And if you don't know, there's so much. All the public meetings, come on up here, ladies. Who's going to take their picture? HR, you got it?
There it is.
They, all the meetings, they do the minutes, they get them all put out. They keep us in line. And there is a lot of book work, a lot of studying that goes with that. And we actually put Jenny in for Clerk of the Year, but then we found out she was on the board and they said you couldn't do it. Is that right? Yes, sir. I didn't know that that's the whole point, but you guys do a great job. Thank you very much. Okay, now we got one that we're all knowing about. It's a windy day, so that means it's red flag, it's dry, so you know what all that means. Wildfire Community Preparedness Day. Whereas the Village of Ruidoso, New Mexico has a very high wildfire risk and is recognized as the #1 at-risk community within the state of New Mexico for catastrophic wildfire and is surrounded by thousands of acres of wildland forest fields. Whereas the entire village is a wildland urban intermix with residences, businesses, and heavy forest fuels in close proximity to one another. Whereas residents in areas with potential for wildfires can impact the risk and severity of wildfires and reduce deaths, injury, and property losses through their preparedness efforts. And whereas a dedicated day that engages communities in focusing activities that create awareness, education, and action have the potential to make significant differences before, during, and after a wildfire. And whereas proactive actions from a single individual or entire neighborhoods contribute to a safer community when wildfires happen. And whereas the residents of the Village of Ruidoso can become local champions through committing time and effort to improving their property's defensibility and resiliency, and contribute towards a greater Ruidoso area wildland urban interface, becoming a more fire-adapted community. And whereas all residents throughout the Village of Ruidoso are encouraged to participate in a wildfire community preparedness day. And I therefore, I, Lynn Crawford, Mayor of the Village of Ruidoso, hereby proclaim May 17th, 2025 Wildfire Community Preparedness Day in the Village of Ruidoso, New Mexico. Proclaim this 13th day of May 2025 in Ruidoso, New Mexico. And it's even more aware after what we've gone through the last year. Come on down, Dick. Dick is the guy that comes by and marks red around orange around all your trees and gets you to cut them down for defensible space. And right now, with all the insurance companies howling at all of you, and you're expecting your insurance rates to increase more than most and probably double in the next year, these guys are working hard and steadfast to make sure that we cut down on the risks of it, the severity of it, And so when these guys show up at your house, the forest department, listen to what they're saying. It's not fun to cut down trees or do all the cleaning. And you're not real popular when you come to see people a lot of times. Sometimes they like you, not very often, because I get the calls. But I do appreciate what you guys do. It's a big part of who we are now. And so, Dick, congratulations. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Those guys do a great job.
Let's let the fire guys leave if they're gonna leave now.
What do we got to do, the fire guys?
No, I was gonna say if they're gonna leave, they.
Hey, Will, what are all the fire guys doing here? Oh, you're all right. I'm not trying to run you off.
Okay.
I'm just not used to y'all hanging around that much.
We're here to support the new hire.
Okay, I thought you were in here to get a good look at Mike Morrow. That's the first time I've seen him.
Nice to see him.
Yeah, it was nice to see him. Well, thank you guys, everybody.
Be safe.
Now we're going to get an update on marketing and advertising by Kerry Gladden, CEO of the agency.
You can see how excited everyone is.
Yeah, everybody. You don't have to leave just because she's coming up.
Wow, the room got very large.
Yeah.
Yeah, get rid of the peanut gallery.
Oh, you just held that one. It should just work pretty quick. Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Hello.
I'm here just to give you a quick update on our advertising and marketing efforts. Do you guys have this in front
Yes,
of you?
ma'am, we do.
And don't panic, Counselor Hooker, there's a lot of picture pages in it.
He was, what is it, airborne? Is that what?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't say that. I wasn't in the Army.
Okay, I'm just going to start with listed a brief overview of where we're advertising, because I get asked about it a lot. I'm sure you guys do. So I divided it into Tier 1 and Tier 2. So Tier 1, you'll recognize those as a lot of our places where we draw the most visitors from. And then Tier 2, we go into those markets with a lot of our co-op programming. So that's why I said it's Tier 2, because a lot of times New Mexico True will run in like the Nashville airport. They'll run a series of ads that are New Mexico True, and one of them will be Ruidoso. And same with Southern California. That's how we're getting a lot of the exposure in Southern California, is through the co-op campaign.
Carrie, the advertising in Albuquerque, I know years ago we shied away from Albuquerque and were told we couldn't break into that market. How's that market performing?
It's going great, and you'll see, as we get back here further, I've got the breakdowns of our visitors, so that, I think you'll see the answer to your question there. Next, Yvonne. How are we advertising? These are all of the ways, so this is co-op and our village marketing efforts, all of the ways that we are getting out to potential visitors. And if you think about, there's something called the travel funnel, and when you think about that, you've got, if you, up at the top of the funnel, we call awareness. And then as it gets closer in, is consideration, and then decision, and then booking. And so the booking is the bottom of the funnel. So you start up here and you push everybody down. And so if you look at like traditional billboards, traditional print publications, those are all, you're throwing it out there. You're throwing the name and the brand out there. And then as you start to come down the funnel, you use things like remarketing, travel and tender display ads. So if somebody has booked a reservation, then we can serve them up with an ad to say, here's everything that there is to do in Ruidoso. So I did this just to show you the mix of different things that we're doing, because we're not just heavily print or heavily billboards. We're really, spread out across all of the ways that we can reach our potential visitors. Okay, and the next 3 or 4 pages are just showing you how how we are doing this with social media, traditional print, and examples of what those are. And just on the monthly emails to the tourism database and lodgers and businesses, that our database for people who have signed up over the years to receive information from us is almost 40,000. So through that, that's 40,000 a month that get a directed message that hits their inbox and tells them what's going on that month in Ruidoso. Then we change up the message just a little bit for lodgers and businesses to say, hey, got people coming into town, here's what you can suggest to them to do. And here is, I thought this was interesting because this, what on the left is the year prior to the fire, and on the right is July 24, and I put through June 25, but obviously we're not there yet. But if you look at the one on the left, you see we kind of have steady traffic down there, and then, of course, the big spike is the fire. Right next to it, you see it drop right after the fire, which makes sense, but then look at the steady uptick over the year, or the months since the fire, and that's a direct comparison. We're performing on a different level than we were in 23-24. So I thought that was a good visual to show how people are visiting. And the next slide shows our engagement on Discover Ruidoso. And you guys have heard me say 100 times, the webcam has for years been our most popular page on the website. And when you look at last year to this year, we are seeing a 49% increase in traffic year over year. And in FY24, the Midtown webcam was the most visited page. FY25, you'll notice it is now number 6, and all of the other pages in front of it are trip planning guides and activity guides of things to do when you're here. So this shows, go back to the funnel, it shows that people are coming farther down the funnel, and they're not just going to look at the webcam to see what the weather's like today. So I think that's a good trend that we're seeing. The next is just an overview of the co-op program that we do with New Mexico Tourism. We have $687,000 total this fiscal year with them. To date, we've spent the program has spent $587,000. There are 13 initiatives that we're involved in. Then the total impressions to date, so that's how many times our people have viewed our billboards, our online ads, stuff that has been trafficked directly to them, is 65.4 million. Wow. And that's a pretty big number. And our social post engagement to date is over 2 million. And again, that's anything that people do on a social post, whether it's like it, share it, comment on it, that's what it encompasses. And the next few slides show you where these are the co-op ads, which you can see they're co-branded with our logo and New Mexico True. And so that's the difference between those stuff that you saw before. Next one, you can see all the different places that these are shown, gas pumps, gyms, malls, because when we say we're doing digital advertising, that just doesn't mean a digital billboard. If you think about all the places where you see video being played, we're in those places. The next part was the New Mexico Co-op Tourism Department Fire Recovery Program. It was $150,000 that they gave us right after the fires. The total spend to date is $105,000. So we still have, between now and the end of fiscal, we're still pushing stuff through with recovery messages. Total impressions to date on that one are 6 million. Social post engagement to date is over 1 million, and video views are 1 million. And so those, again, those are hefty, healthy numbers. So this next slide shows kind of the visitors that are coming to the village and who they through Mobilytics what groups they're in. And in doing this, we know that word of mouth spreads 10 times faster than traditional advertising, and 92% of consumers trust recommendations from friends and family more than any other form of marketing. So if you look at, we've got from left to right, 23, 24, and 25. Our top category has stayed the same, and that's the 65 to 75-year-old budget boomers, they call them, about 50,000 and above in household income. And then there's a lot of overlap of the other ones through there, like the City Hopefuls, which are 22 to 44, Melting Pot is 25 to 44, and Rural Resilience, which is in all of them, is the 45 to 74. So by those numbers, you can see that we're across the board from 22 to 75. And so this demonstrates that we are getting good spread there over those. The next slide is our visit trends. This now is calendar year. Year over year from September 2024, September to December, the period saw a steady increase in visitations. And in 23, those dipped a little bit in November. But despite the 2024 disaster, 2024 was on trend with the previous year in seeing a spike in visitation in December. So again, just to kind of speak to, are we coming back? Are we, what do our numbers look like? This one shows 23 compared to 24. You can see in September, right after, we were down 38% over the previous year. October, we were down 28. November, we were down 17. And December exceeded the previous year. So what we saw there was an average increase of 1,500 people per month returning to Ruidoso. And that indicate when you see how our decrease over the previous year is going down each month compared to the 38. And then we did, the next one shows visit trends. And so this is 24 versus 25, and this reflects a national travel trend. January, there was no change. December exceeded the previous year. Then February, we saw a 5% decrease. And in March, we saw a 6% decrease. And that is, if you look across the board at any kind of travel, we're seeing a trend downwards. And a lot of people, a lot of experts attribute that to just kind of where the economy is right now. People are maybe a little more hesitant to put out money for a trip somewhere. But that does follow what we're seeing nationally.
Do you think that was exacerbated by the dry winter?
Yes. Absolutely.
Do you have any sense of how Ski Apache performed this past year compared to? Zero. The next one is interesting because we wanted to show recovery information. So we took our information and compared it to Asheville, North Carolina, and not because of size or anything like that, but because they were hit shortly after we were with all the massive flooding. And so as you track that, we have seen a 19% decrease year over year post-disaster. Asheville has seen a 45% decrease. So, just provide some reference there to how we're doing. And then the next slide, the recovery visits, when you see 23 and 24 for Ruidoso, where we see a 4% decrease. Asheville is currently seeing a 20% decrease in their visitation. And then we thought this was interesting. It's called PACE visits. And so we compared ourselves to Santa Fe. And we kind of targeted the plaza area there because we figured when people go there to visit, they go to the plaza.
And right now, we're 28% ahead of Santa Fe in visitors for Q1 of the calendar year 2025, maintaining year-over-year average despite disaster. So that's just an interesting tidbit. When you look at the geographic breakdown, Counselor Corey, this speaks to part of what you were asking. You can see the U.S., the top 5 states, not really any surprise there, except that this is the first time that we see California and Tennessee in the mix. And then when you look at Texas, it's also the first time that Dallas has ranked ahead of El Paso. Now, that could just be a timing thing, because when you go to the next couple of slides, here we broke it down, visits by state, and we just pulled out some highlights with Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas. And this is almost all the states listed here. If there's not enough from ones, I think it's less than 1,000, it's not going to show. And so the next page just kind of zooms in on that a little bit more, showing, who some of the performers are. And then the next page shows visits by state. And if you look, Counselor Corey, Albuquerque is our number 1 in-state visits.
Congratulations.
And of course, El Paso is number 1 on the Texas side of things total. And that is all I have. So I'm open, I'll stand for any questions.
I have a question.
Go right ahead.
If I may, Carrie. So to understand impressions, let's say that I'm on Facebook and a business owner in our community writes this big thing and I like that and I share it. Does that show up as an impression when you're tracking it in the worldwide guru of
Yes,
tracking
it shows
stuff?
up as an impression, but it also, because you shared it, it shows up as an engagement. Engagement is anything you do beyond seeing it. That's the impression. And then if you share it, like it, love it, hate it, comment on it, that is engagement.
But how do you know, how does your tracking track it? Because it has Ruidoso attached to it somehow?
And because their algorithms know who's seeing it, how many friends they have, how many, it's all the woo-woo stuff that I can't even begin to get into, but it's all tied in together. And it's just like if you buy a billboard in Dallas, they tell you based on how much traffic they know goes by there a day. That's how you get your impressions from something like that. So everything is, print is tracked by their circulation numbers. And so there is a measure for all of this.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we know it's working because the latest numbers that we got on our GRT April was, 400,000 over a year ago? April, is that right, Judy? So that's drastic. So how do you know, and I get asked this all the time and I try to explain it to them, you say that, we know that these people came from El Paso. We know those came from Dallas. So how do you actually know that? And how do we get that? We spend a lot of money on a service.
Right.
Through, I forgot the name of it.
Buxton.
Buxton Analytical, and that it can track you. So you don't need to fill out anything. If you got a phone and you're using a Maps app or you use anything, they know where you're going, what stores you're going in, and everything else.
And the agency has actually purchased this year to help the Buxton effort. We found another platform that's where all of these numbers are coming from, like where we can compare to Asheville, and what you're seeing in this report comes from that. And it's very, very robust.
Okay,
Very robust.
excellent. Anyone else?
I got one question there, Carrie.
Yes.
Is that, do you have any stats on how many visits we get from Mexico? Because I believe that you said you had the translation portion of your website up and that's been utilized quite a bit
Yes.
since you put that up, activated it. So Because we see a lot of Chihuahua plates.
Yes, and it's our number one, Chihuahua is our number one market outside the US. And I can get you, I didn't pull stats for that, for this report, but I can get you an actual number after we run a report on it and get back to you with that.
Your August numbers are gonna be interesting with the international visits that we're gonna start getting, so.
I know.
Because of,
Xterra.
Sarah.
it'll be good.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next, under boards and commissions, looking for the appointment of Greg Corey as liaison for the Ruidoso Valley Chamber of Commerce Board. May I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Counselor Corey as liaison for Ruidoso Valley Chamber of Commerce Board.
Second.
Any discussion? Thank you, Greg, for putting your name up and showing up over there. It's a good deal. So, roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Corey?
Abstain.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Thank you.
Okay. We have a public hearing. Are you guys on the time frame to get your, because I know when I was getting mine, I wanted it immediately so I could run down, and I had to go to Santa Fe. Y'all in that kind of a deal?
Santa Fe is waiting on the seller.
Oh, okay.
Act issue with the seller.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if you jump in the truck and go. Okay, we'll continue. Under Village Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Our first presenter, she drove down from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and if I could have her come on up. And that's Kate Noble, and we also have a representative from the Region 9.
Yeah, Lauren runs
Lauren's-
with the Region 9 here, and I think most of y'all have been to the meetings, and they touched on a thing about child home care and different things that she had been doing, and so we have a lot of interest in that.
And we've had some, just some Zoom meetings with Kate and just a lot of information, and she also worked for this, was it Santa Fe County or City of Santa Fe?
City.
The city, and she was a community development director and other things, so we'll leave it to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. My name's Kate Noble. I am currently the CEO of Growing Up New Mexico. We are an early childhood-focused nonprofit. We really look at the prenatal to 5 space and work in that area. And I will say a bunch more about efforts that we're doing, but first we'll have Lauren go with some of the work that is being done right here through her work with Region 9 and a coalition focused on early childhood.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thanks so much for having us here today. Mr. Salas, may I confirm how much time we have?
Oh, you have as much time as he allows.
Fantastic.
This isn't public input, so.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. Well, thank you so much again for having us. Again, I'm Lauren Swangstu. I'm the coordinator for the Peace Coalition of Lincoln County. PEACE stands for Partners in Early Childhood Education. We have been around since 1999. In 2022, the state of New Mexico, specifically ECECD, began funding the Peace Coalition. Region 9 became our fiscal sponsor, and the strategic plan was formed. And with that came our 4 goals. I'm going to quickly go through the goals so you kind of know what we're working on. 1, we want to increase membership and build a well-functioning coalition. We work on this all day, every day. Many of you have been to our meetings. We do hold monthly meetings the 4th Thursday of every month. And we really just try to focus on having as many organizations in town present. We like small business owners, we like parents and caregivers, teachers, really anybody focused on kids. Number 2, increase family and community engagement opportunities. We're focusing really hard on trying to show up to as many events around Lincoln County as possible. So we just did the Dia del Nino with the library at the convention center. It was an excellent turnout. We're actually going to be hosting our own Back to School Bash, which will be at Wingfield Park. It's going to be August 2nd. It's a Saturday. We are inviting anybody and everybody around Lincoln County. We're going to try to get the kiddos school supplies, haircuts, just a bunch of fun things. Number 3, develop relationships with local school districts. We are trying to work hand in hand with the superintendents and principals in hopes of establishing after-school programs again, and really trying to get summer school dialed in as well. Some are still doing it, some is by invitation only, but really this will help the childcare landscape overall. And last, we are focusing on increasing registered home child care. So when I refer to registered home child care, as you said, Mayor Crawford, we're talking about anybody all over our county opening their homes to provide child care to children and becoming registered in the process. So our goal is to have 6 of these registered homes in Lincoln County by 2026. We've had some success with our Family, Friends, and Neighbors program that we've established. So we have established this program for caregivers, anybody providing babysitting, any kind of caregiving all over the county. It's an informal program, and we can provide them with supports. We've got educational opportunities, we've got funding by Growing Up New Mexico, we've got funding by ECECD, and we've got coaches on hand that can actually walk people through the process if they decide to become registered. We can support the Family, Friends, and Neighbors program participants by providing smoke alarms, fire extinguishers. We're trying to get them CPR certified and background checked, just so we know we are leaving our kiddos in safe hands. We're seeing a lot of people wanting to take advantage of this program, and hopefully, once we establish them, we gain their trust, we can take them down the path of becoming registered or licensed. We are not having as much luck as we had hoped with finding people in Lincoln County to become registered or licensed. So,
what's the big holdup there?
I would say the vast majority of people immediately rule themselves out because of their homes. So they think that their home is just not adequate. And that's a bit of what we're going to talk about today once I hand it over to Kate. And also, I think that our community is hesitant. They don't really, I haven't established that trust with our community. That's what I'm hoping this Family, Friends, and Neighbors program will do. And that's also how the village can help. If we can get you guys to kind of lift our voice, lift our message a bit, I think that it'll help us gain some footing and establish trust in this community. So this may look like partnering on events, which would be fantastic. We'd love to have you guys at the Back to School Bash in August. Sharing Facebook posts, it could be just keeping us in mind when talking with your family, friends, neighbors, people of the community. I've got one more and I just totally forgot it. Having representation at our meetings. You guys have been at, I think a couple of our meetings. You've been at 2 or 3 of them, and I notice a lot of faces around. So again, we do those monthly. They're on the 4th Thursday. We have one next week, actually, on the 22nd, where we're going to hear from Denise Staub from the library. She's going to tell us about her program, and then we're going to talk about other things that are happening in our community and lots of updates. So I am going to hand it over to Kate Noble, and she's going to talk about some changes that were made in Santa Fe. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, Manager, members of the council, thanks again for having me. Just to say a little bit more about Growing Up New Mexico, I think we are the only early childhood focused organization statewide. I would encourage anyone to look at growingupnm.org. We are a nonprofit. I joined about 7 or 8 years ago and have worked in the policy arena. That's part of the reason we're based in Santa Fe. We really try and influence the state government on early childhood. For me, my first rodeo, if you will, in early childhood was actually on the bill that created a cabinet-level early childhood education and care department for New Mexico. We were, I believe, the 5th state in the nation to do that. And since then, our investment at the state level has grown a huge amount. So there is money flowing in early childhood. And, you know, if there's one thing that you take away from me today, it's actually just repeating what Lauren said. Talking this up as an economic and community development issue is perhaps the most powerful tool we have. Obviously, childcare has happened forever in human society, but increasingly, because of the investments, because of the structural change we've made in New Mexico, and because what we saw post-pandemic with a recession and some other things, people are increasingly seeing childcare and early childhood as foundational economic development. As Manager Sena mentioned, I was in community development for the city of Santa Fe, starting actually in economic development for about 10 years. And we started seeing this more and more and more, and things in a economy and in a place that relies a lot on tourism as well, looking for non-traditional hours for folks that are in hotels, hospitals as well. This is really big and foundational, and what the Early Childhood Education and Care Department has been doing is they've made the business model work now. And that is with childcare rates. Childcare assistance is currently set at, families are eligible at 400% of the federal poverty level. That's close to $120,000 for a family of 4 in income. So a vast majority of our families in New Mexico are eligible, in essence, for the state to pay for childcare. But that only happens when you're registered or licensed as a home care or licensed as a child care facility. And the rates at 5 stars are very good. The business now works. At 2 stars, it's okay, but this is money that comes from the states into communities. It's not requiring people to pay. And so that's why I think the Peace Coalition has focused on this. We also have looked at the landscape and really think that home care, or we call it family child care, is one of the fastest ways to grow child care slots in communities because it's distributed. And we in Santa Fe like that as an economic development strategy, even post the 2008 recession. If we can get 50 businesses, each to create 2 or 3 jobs, then you have 100 to 150 jobs. Of course, the same math will hold for childcare slots. And home care is really a great way to do it. It's very flexible. A lot of parents, usually it's mothers, who want to stay home and raise a child realize that if they bring in a neighbor's kid and get some payment for that, that's a way to both stay home and raise a child and bring in income. And again, if you get registered or licensed, then it doesn't have to be private pay, as we call it. It can come from the state through child care assistance. Growing Up New Mexico also, as of January, received a contract from the Early Childhood Education and Care Department, basically to do an unprecedented level of support for family child care, for home-based care. So that's sort of the reason I can be here today. We have a lot of work, and we've been asked by the department to do this, to help communities support the growth of family child care. To answer your question, Mayor, there are a million reasons why people don't do it. And I think what Lauren is doing is exactly right. Santa Fe has had an FFN, a Family, Friends, and Neighbor Network forever, and it's working for us. It takes time because it really does move at the speed of trust. There are a lot of very personal issues around the home. We've heard from folks in Las Cruces, and Doña Ana County has a huge proportion of our family child care. It's been a cultural thing forever in and around the Las Cruces area. And they often talk about, just to put it bluntly, machismo in the home, that if somebody says your fence isn't adequate for licensing, that sometimes will mean that the door gets slammed on the idea of family child care. There is, to be licensed, which is how you get to 5 stars, there's a lot that you have to do. And I think the Early Childhood Education and Care Department has been working to really strike a balance of what's practical and what's best practices, because high-quality childcare is how we get the societal return on investment. The brain science is about 85% of the brain develops before age 5. And high quality really matters. That means not, strapped in a car seat. That means not with the TV on all day. It means reading books, singing songs. We really talk about a high verbal environment. As meal prep goes on, you talk about chopping, you talk about ingredients, you talk about where things come from, that sort of thing. High quality childcare is not complicated, but it is sort of a specific set of things that happen. People also, sometimes, this is certainly something we've experienced in Santa Fe, when you have folks who can afford a high private pay rate, there's no incentive for the family child care provider to get licensed. And in Santa Fe, we've seen people are sort of like, why would I invite in the scrutiny of licensing when I can find somebody with a good wage who will pay me $1,000 or $1,500 for an infant for the month? So there's a lot of different issues, and Lauren touched upon a bunch of them. Including that, and it's not, and this is where Lauren can help, we can help, it's not that hard to go through the steps. But at the beginning, we often hear it feels really daunting of all the things you're going to have to do to go from soup to nuts to get registered or licensed. What I would say has been our experience in Santa Fe is that the FFN work, the Family, Friends, and Neighbor, it's taken a lot of years. And again, what has happened with the business model, with the rates being set where they are because we have the money in our early childhood department, things are changing. We are seeing people ready to get registered and licensed, but they have to arrive there with their own family and with their own life on their own time on some level. It is very difficult to hurry it.
Ms. Noble,
Yes.
How significant is insurance as it relates to someone opening up a home daycare?
Excuse me, and I might segue that. Being in medicine, I'm really focused on the liability that family may or may not incur, because to me, that might be a major block.
Believe it or not, we have not found that insurance is a major block, liability insurance particularly. It is increasingly difficult. We're seeing insurance rates rise all over the place. And there's a lot of work being done on that to create pools so that there could be an association, that sort of thing. There are already. Exactly. There's a child care association that home providers can join. There are already some mechanisms, just like a Chamber of Commerce might offer, that sort of thing. The biggest barrier that we're actually seeing is zoning and fire. And some of that is variable approaches to, and we have a patchwork throughout New Mexico communities. So one of the things that I was going to bring to your attention, Councilor Eby, I believe you and I talked about this previously, but Santa Fe did pass a child care by right zoning ordinance. So we amended our zoning in the city of Santa Fe so that a special use permit is not required in any zoning except industrial, and it is allowed by right for, and there's really 2 sizes. Usually it's up to 6 or up to 12. Sometimes fire marshals or zoning departments limit things at 3. That's something we've seen in Albuquerque a bunch that has been hard. So cities do have a role, and really, and what Lauren and the Peace Coalition are working on, we have seen to be the effective way to do it, kind of a holistic thing where you work with the public schools, you talk it like crazy, and you work on your regulatory environment with zoning and fire to make sure, and it's not just to let things go crazy, because you want to maintain safety and, again, that high-quality environment, but to make sure that there aren't unnecessary barriers. And home child care is hard to understand. We've passed this in Santa Fe in preparation for coming here today. I started asking around to see if it's been effective. I got to be careful because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here, but ultimately, we've not seen it be very effective because it hasn't made it into the folks working in zoning. So we are going to, and having learned what I learned, that in essence, the staff in land use and zoning don't know about it. We are going to work with our council and our mayor on making sure that they get educated by what's on the books, about what's on the books, and help to streamline that. Lauren mentioned funding from Growing Up New Mexico. What that really comes in the form of is we have incentives in place. So if a provider gets CPR certified, and we'll do this with FFN providers, we'll pay $150 because that's a real good basic safety requirement is a provider getting CPR certified. If they get licensed, we'll pay them a reward of $400. If they open a business bank account, I think it's about $150, maybe it's $100, in order to keep finances separate between the business and the personal. We'll pay for that. That's something that with grant funding, with funding from the state, we've found to be really good lubricant for the system. We're getting, because these are folks, they have to be teachers and entrepreneurs, and we're seeing that payments here and there, a few $100s, really help with sort of the bootstrapping of, okay, now I can get a fire extinguisher, now I can get a fence, now I can buy some more high-quality toys or manipulables or books or that sort of thing to make sure I have the environment. And we pursue 2 tracks, high-quality care, education and care, and a strong business, because you got to be able to manage the business. We've seen, frankly, for too long, people, mostly women, will actually lose money on buying food for the kids, on buying toys, on buying, and this is a very heart-driven industry. I guess I'd say I'm still an economic development professional, but I was explicitly that for a number of years. I've never seen an industry like this. It is so heart-led. It is highly regulated. It is very unique, but ultimately, again, sort of talking it, working on the holistic, the many factors that will feed into this industry in your community, in this community, is I think one of the most powerful things that can be done. And we want to help, and I'm happy to come back anytime. We work in lots of ways to support local governments, to support folks at the state government, to support coalitions. We're also a host of a coalition in Santa Fe, and truly, personally, this is, I think, my life's mission. This is developing this industry so that it has formal supports the way other industries have previously as foundational economic development, as a good strategy for a 2 or more generation economic development strategy, because the kids benefit, the parents benefit. We tend to see reduced trauma in childhood if parents are well supported, have good education and care. I can go on and on about all of that, but ultimately.
Excuse me for interrupting, but. Yeah. And I'm all in on the intent. My question is really one of logistics. If you are, say, a 3-star and you're working through the chairs by way of an explanation and you get to 5-star, who is the overseeing regulatory agency in the state for these then fully licensed homes? And what's the length of time between 3-star and 5-star and actually getting that piece of paper signed off on?
These are great questions. So the short answer is the Early Childhood Education and Care Department, our cabinet level department in state government, is sort of always the regulatory agency in the end. They actually contract with an entity based in UNM to do what they call focus verification. Focus is our STAR system. You can move instantly. Now, this is new, and again, there's been a lot of structural changes. It used to be about a year a star, so it would take 2 years to get from 3 to 5. Recently, maybe about a year ago, and it's something that hasn't been talked enough, but it was changed. So now, if you are at a 5-star and you've been at 2 or 3 stars, if you get somebody in and they can verify that you are doing all the things that 5-star requires, they'll put you right into the 5-star level. And it's mostly ratios. It's how many children you can care for. That's the big indicator of qualities.
Yeah, and safety, I would think as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And they're different. One of the things we hear a lot from home providers is we don't know whether it's a focus verifier or a licensing official, those are separate things, or a local zoning person or a fire marshal. You know, they sort of, the experience of the provider is often, I don't know who from the government is at my door. And we're working very hard, and again, really appreciate the engagement of local governments, because it doesn't work without local governments. Something gets lost in translation. It's important at all these levels that there be really an understanding and buy-in on this industry for it to continue to make progress. But all the elements are there now.
The state subsidy of daycare for qualified families, my youngest daughter benefited from that program. I'm curious how that program availability is communicated, because she only found out from her daycare provider. She didn't know the program was out there. How is that getting communicated?
So I don't know a lot of specifics about that. The Early Childhood Education and Care Department has put a bunch more money into communications and marketing campaigns in the past few years, and they've actually got private grants. The Hilton Foundation significantly is one that's been investing in the information dissemination in New Mexico. So that's one way. I did even write down, based on the tourism presentation, that what we've seen in this industry as well is word of mouth spreads everything. And that's how she found out about it, and hence the sort of talk it up request, because that is the best. And in Lauren's work in trying to have folks who are doing this in their homes come out of the woodwork and flirt with getting registered or licensed, you know, it helps to have that reinforcement of conversations in community and in the state. But they're trying to do it, you know, there's some billboards, mostly in the Albuquerque area, I think, and radio and print and a lot of social media they've been pushing.
But just because you're a mom and you have a kid doesn't mean you qualify.
Correct.
To keep another kid at home, or 2 or 3, or I know there's still a lot of work to be done on it, and we definitely need it, because we don't have child care facilities really around or near enough. Does anybody else have any comments or questions?
Yes, thanks for coming. You said if you get a verifier into the home, so my question is, like, would you use Region 9 and try to get somebody certified, whatever the criteria is, to be a verifier? So you would have verifiers locally that could go into the home? And also, how do you verify that, when you first started with your presentation, you were talking about that you want high-quality care, that you want teaching, singing, and so on. You just don't want them in front of a TV. How do you verify that these caregivers are actually interacting with the children and not just putting them in front of a TV?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. It's not perfect, but ultimately, and there are packets on the Early Childhood Education and Care website that sort of say what the standards are for each of the things. So it's not a mystery, and you can see how much space, their square footage requirements. To be 5 stars, there needs to be outdoor space. There needs to be a certain amount of crash pad, if you will, for if kids fall off a structure, that sort of thing. So they're very specific requirements on the verification. You know, certainly having a TV in the home or not having a TV wouldn't be a thing. So if someone were determined to pretend like they never put kids in front of a television, but they did. You know, you can't, it's not regulated against all bad actors, but there's some pretty rigorous requirements for that licensing. And I don't know about the local verification. I don't think verification is a big barrier. They do, and it's something that has been funded increasingly in the Early Childhood Education and Care's annual budget appropriated by the legislature, is more people to do the things. And I don't know the specifics about where they're located, but again, that's not a big barrier that we hear about. One thing I would say, though, is that Lauren can help. We consider her a local coach and coordinator in a sort of statewide network of networks that we're working on. We also have coaches. I was just looking at your email about background checks to one of our coaches earlier today. And so our staff at Growing Up New Mexico are getting really expert at the requirements. So ultimately, with Lauren as a coach or one of our coaches, there's a lot of resources available to have somebody walk you through all of it so you're ready by the time you call for the verification visit.
Okay, thank you. And also, since you're saying that there is a lot of money as far as trying to get this program going in the different municipalities and communities, are there grants available for houses or businesses that want to start up, that they do need some modifications to their home and such?
There are not currently, there have been. Last year, calendar year 2024, there was about 1.4 million that was put into upgrades for homes and centers. It was $10,000 per home or per classroom that was available. And I think some of that will come again. The state did also put $10 million into a low-interest child care loan fund, which not only is it available for homes, but I believe it can be paid. They don't like the word forgivable, but it can be paid by services. So if someone got a loan from that fund and provided childcare for a number like 3 or 5 years, the terms would still need to be defined in that specific agreement, then that loan might be forgiven.
Okay, well, thank you. And just, I forgot the number that your target is that you wanted to try to get started by next year?
Yes, we want 6 by 2026.
How many?
6.
6.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Oh, and I do have some trifolds that gives a little bit more information. May I pass those out? Is that okay?
You can hand them to our clerk and she'll make sure we get them.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay, Ron.
Mayor and council, we have Mr. T-Bone himself, and I believe Matthew may be joining him. And this is regarding some proposed murals on our substations. And T-Bone has that information.
T-Bone.
Or David Tetral, I guess I should be correct.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'm here to request approval for a couple murals on the substations, but before I say that, I would like to say something. We had the Great American Cleanup. We had the mayor, councilors. We had Ron, the manager, come out, and I picked up trash for many years. And it's really an inspiration, and I'm proud to have you guys as my leader. Leaders Against Litter, you guys come out and pick up trash. With the other couple cleanups we had 148 participants. We picked up 7,400 pounds of trash, 277 bags of trash. With the 4 dumpsters, we had 37 tires and 41,000 pounds of trash collected at Schoolhouse Park and the cleanup. So it just makes me proud to see the leaders come out. I don't know how many other villages, cities, towns, the mayor comes out, the manager comes out, the counselors come out and pick up trash. So it's inspiring.
Well, yeah, I mean, you inspire all of us to do that with what you guys do. And your staff, great staff.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and you know, the solid waste helps us in Parks and Rec. They do a great job. But so we have, I had a group come up to me It's a group from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in El Paso. And they're requesting to do some murals. And so I come up with the substations. Cade was like, yes, I would like to see murals on those. And I don't know if you can see the pictures. I believe you have them. So this one, the Bob Moore Apache, he owned the Apache Motel. He was a real estate agent. And this substation right out here is the Bob Moore. And so the other one would be the Tom Jones, which is the one by Fire Station 1, right next to the hotel. And that would be this one. And so I have 100 girls that would like to come on June 19th. And there would be people come before that. They would primer the side. It would just be the one side facing the road. And they would project it on there. They would draw it out. And it's basically going to be paint by numbers. And so once they draw it out, then the girls will come on June 19th and hopefully have it done in a couple hours. All they request of me is that I could get them some scaffolding.
And have they done, obviously they've done this before. Do we know where?
Actually, I don't know if they've done it before, but.
Can they do it?
They said they can do it.
Well.
And I actually believe because they're memorial fire stations, I just wanted to make sure that you all approve of them.
Yeah.
And one thing that the stations have to have is their names on them.
So who came up with the concept and the actual drawing?
Actually, they did.
They did?
Yes. I told them something like what we'd like to see, and they came up with the drawings.
Nice.
And again, the reason for Apache Motel was because Bob Moore
owned it.
He owned the hotel.
He owned the hotel.
Yes. And I believe he was a volunteer
That's
fireman.
the one at Schoolhouse Park, right?
No, Tom Jones, I believe, is the one.
At Schoolhouse
Yes.
Park?
And I believe Tom Jones was like one of the first volunteer firefighters.
That's what I remember,
Yes.
understanding on that.
Does it take formal action or?
Well, I think we could, but just a presentation, and so, but we can give a nod to the manager to, if you guys approve of it, only if he sings "She is a Lady." Can you do that one first? You're getting ready to retire. We got to get all the goodie out of you we can, buddy.
She is a lady.
She is a lady, okay. All right, so if it's good, we'll ask Ron to go ahead and work with you guys to get that approved and take care of that, Matt, so.
Okay.
All right, appreciate it.
I think, Matthew, you're next on the Ren Fair.
No.
Update on the Renaissance Fair. We're going to have, what a busy weekend and.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is the middle of our really busy weekends. We had a busy weekend last weekend with the disc golf tournament, and this next weekend we do have the Renaissance Fair. It will be, the Renaissance Fair is Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday this year. We're really excited. We're expecting about 8,000 people in attendance over the 3 days. Our crew has been working on starting today, actually putting stuff up, and you've seen the fence up from last week. We had a part of the disc golf tournament was there last week at Wingfield Park, so we had the fence up already, and we're just getting stuff put together. It's going to be a exciting event. Last year was a very large event. We were really happy. It was the first annual, but we expect even more this year. And so I think there's 138 vendors that they've confirmed around there. The full armored night fighters will be back. The full contact night fighters will be back. The Highland Games will be back, and so there's just tons of activities, and we're really looking forward to this.
Matthew, do they charge admission?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they do.
And there's still VIP tickets available.
Yeah,
If you come in costume, you get a discount.
you do.
Yeah, I'm
So if you show up in costume, any
Bust that dress
costume.
out, you've been wait. Come on, man. You've been to
Councilor
Europe.
Curry wants to know if you have any tights.
We can facilitate anything
But what
you
is it,
need.
$35?
I believe it's $35 to get in, and then I want to say 25 if you're wearing a costume.
And what's the parking situation?
So we do have all the parking there in Midtown, of course, that area, as well as they're shuttling back and forth from White Mountain Sports Complex over there.
Oh, great.
And so if we.
And the racetrack also?
And at the
And
racetrack.
the racetrack this
yes.
year also, actually, yeah, they have that shuttle.
And
as
we
well.
have Mashburn's parking lot
Yeah,
also.
well,
And,
yeah, Mashburn parking lot will actually be where all the vendors are parked, so we are kind of keeping that cordoned off for the vendor parking, and then all the Midtowns, that big area, kind of next to it and just north of the rack also, as well as any place in Midtown. It's going to be a full house in Midtown.
Friday's
I can tell you
Pirate
all
Day.
that. Yeah, Friday is Pirate Day.
Kilt Day on Saturday.
So break out your old Irish kilts and come join the party.
Matthew, you brought up the disc golf tournament. I saw a ton of people. Do we have a number yet?
So there were, I believe, 438 that competed in the tournament. Then, of course, they bring their spouses, and a lot of them brought their kids and friends.
Stayed a
and-
week, some.
Yeah, caddies. A lot of them had caddies with them. Most of them stayed at least a week. We had several that we talked to that were actually here a month or more. This is a Masters tournament, and so it's 40 and above. The oldest participant was 86. Came in second in their age division, but got beat by a young whippersnapper of 80 years old. They said, but they brought a lot of people in. They stayed for a long time. I saw them out in town a lot. I don't know if
Buying retail there?
our retail friends saw them.
I heard they went to the sub-store.
Yeah. We tried to push them through Midtown. They really enjoyed it. Thursday was a little bit of a rough day. We did have hail and rain, and it was this pretty nasty day, and so it kind of extended into the evening hours. The last card was playing, fighting sunset, trying to get in. They had the opportunity to come back the next day, but they said, we just want to finish and get home and,
And there were like 4 guys vying for the championship. It was
Yeah.
really neck and neck.
Yeah, so the
And
MP.
some gals smoked everybody by 20 strokes.
Yeah,
or
so
something.
MP40, which is the highlight card. So those guys, it was down to the last hole, who won that one. And
By
so,
one, isn't it?
yeah, they won it by one. There were several that MA40 was also by one stroke. A guy hit about a 45-foot putt to win it, on that one. As you said, FP40, so female professional 40. The lady won by, I think, 25 strokes, 24 strokes, something like that. She came in and just destroyed the competition. This is what she does for a living, is travels the circuit, and she showed it off. That was for sure.
But we had the welcome at the convention center.
Yes.
And well-attended. And I asked them how many of them, this was the first time they were in Ruidoso. And out of the 400 something in the room, it was 90+%, almost everybody in there. They said they'd never been here before.
And
what were their takeaways?
They loved it. They said that they wanted the Parks and Rec to bid on any other championships to get everybody
Yeah,
back in here.
All the PDGA guys came over and asked, when will y'all please bid on more events from us?
As a
Please.
caveat, they did ask us to put in 2 more courses to
Yeah,
qualify, but
so that was the one thing they said, because they said, well, the only thing you couldn't really host would be World Championships. I said, well, why not? How can I host Worlds? They said, well, you need 2 more courses to host World Championships. I said, I'll start trying to figure something out. And then also with that, with some course design on those 2 new courses that they would ask for, would also allow us to then hold a place on the professional disc golf professional tour. And so the Pro Tour circuit. And so they would love to be able to do that, to bring it where we have an event every single year here that's a Pro Tour stop that is our tour stop.
Eddie, you were happy?
He was out of town.
He was in Utah.
Yeah. It was a very, very fun time, though. Those, like I said, a lot of the groups just loved it. They matter of fact, we had several that, a few of the sponsors were realtors and bankers, and they had several that were taking cards from the realtors and the mortgage brokers because they were looking at cabins here. They wanted to have a spot here. Had several comments that we had the best courses per capita of anywhere in the U.S. Is what I got a lot of, and they said, you might go to Kansas City where you have 100 courses, but they're spread out so far and they're just difficult to get to and stuff. And
You can't get any closer to sea level than there.
yeah, and they said ours were, you're 8 minutes from course to course, and you just can't get that anywhere. And so, and the quality of courses we have, so it's a real fun event, that's for sure.
And we do have the land to expand too, because I remember pushing for a 36 hole at the Oso course.
Yep, so.
And we just stopped at half because of funding and stuff, because that's possible. And then, of course, we still have lots of room on Moon Mountain as well.
Yeah, so we have the possibility of Moon Mountain. We have the possibility of adding 9 more in Grindstone, which would make that a 36-hole track, so you could actually run 2 courses there. Like you said, another 18 possibly at Moon. There's just several options that we're looking at and kind of looking towards the future. And what's awesome is bringing some of these groups in. One of the gentlemen from the PGGA actually asked us, do y'all have any youth that would do disc golf? I said, well, we're trying to get that with the schools. They do have a group. And he said, well, I sit on the board that does all the grants to fund the youth projects into disc golf. And so make sure you apply, because I like your community. And so we're going to make sure to work with the schools and get those applications in, and they can buy a lot of equipment and stuff for the programs at the schools also.
Great event, it really was. That was and really good people, a lot of fun.
Again, I'd like to commend T-Bone on this. It was Bert Brunel that approached the department of starting the course, and I think you were on the council then, and we just had to find an area, and that's where Grindstone, the first 9, and T-Bone designed that course, and that's what really kicked it off. I mean, that's almost been 20 years now, but, I mean, that was just the first stepping stones that got this program really moving. So, good job, T-Bone. Is that sign still on there that you?
Here's the new sign.
Does it still say you designed it?
Yes, it does. I
Well, if
looked
it
the other
doesn't,
day.
you better put it back on there.
And that is something actually, that following this event, we will be changing our signage at them, at the disc golf courses, to add that we were the 2025 Tim Selinsky PDGA champion, our Masters location. And so that will bring some sports tourism to us, because people go and want to play those courses. And so that'll bring, on those 4 courses, we will put signage that says, that those were the official courses of the PDGA Masters.
Great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Any other questions for Ron? Go ahead.
Well, Mayor, I wanted to just to introduce, we have another, some of our engineers are on call with Bohannon Houston. We have Kurt Thornton, Logan Brandenburg, and Kurt, do you want to come up and just give a quick update on the
Bridges
intersection project?
Are we
the,
going to talk
design?
about bridges too?
Yes, they were here today to do a site visit with Adam and Josh on the 6 bridges, the FEMA bridges that they're working. And Kurt here is, I would say you're the project manager of all those projects, and
Yes, thank you, Ron. Mayor and council, it's a pleasure to be here and speak with you, give you a briefing on behalf of our team, Bohannon Houston. We appreciate the opportunity. The first project is the New Mexico 48 US 70 intersection. We're just getting underway there. We've done work previously with the village at that location, but we're doing an update study now following the DOT's scoping procedures. So we're doing it all in accordance with DOT so that we don't preclude you guys from any type of funding with the DOT. One of the main components, we've looked at an alignment study previously that's been reviewed here, but obviously the salt fire burn scar is impacting the intersection heavily with drainage. We've been having some discussions with the NMDOT on that as well. In fact, there was a meeting this morning as we were traveling down here with the DOT to do some additional scoping for some drainage work there that we'll be helping them with to try and assess the level of improvements that the DOT may be needing to make in association with that to try and mitigate some of the flooding. So as I said, we're just getting underway, but we're working closely with the DOT to assess their needs as well. And then we'll work with Ron and his staff to get the project moving forward and look at possible funding sources for those improvements at that location.
We're still talking about Super T or High T? What is it?
Right now, we're still looking at the high-capacity T.
High T, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
But that part of our work right now will be to confirm that and then coordinate that with the DOT officials.
Okay. And then y'all took a tour of the bridges today.
Yes, sir. Went out and looked at the 6 locations. Bohannon Houston had worked on 2 of those previously in a teaming arrangement with WSP. We're now going to look at all 6 of those. working closely with Brad Summerall, who'll be giving you a presentation as well on some of the drainage analysis he's been working on, looking at sizing new structures and coordinating that and getting it, all the approvals necessary with FEMA there to get those projects started and underway over the next several months with the village.
Okay. Awesome. Any questions? Anything else for Ron?
Ron, just a quick question. I saw the city of Albuquerque put on hold their fiber optic project because they were getting a lot of complaints about the contractor. What, have we gotten complaints?
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Corey, the only complaints we received is when they're boring and they hit a water line or whatnot, or on somebody's property, and Adam addresses that immediately.
Okay.
Contact the Johnny Montoya, who's on his way to sign a
Yeah, they're on the
a
way right now.
replat, and he wants to provide another update at the June meeting, so, but they're getting
Well,
close.
I'm glad to hear we're not
Yes.
hearing complaints.
What company was it?
I hadn't heard of them.
I saw something on KOB TV. I went online and I saw something about a fiber project, but I'm not sure who the company was, but
Okay.
we're excited and they want to do, they really want to, once they finish the project, they want to do like a ribbon cutting and have just a really, with the village, partnering with the village and really put it out there and just, I mean, it's a great, I just was connected a couple weeks ago and Rhino Rifle, I think, was the first one in the whole village to get fiber, but it's been great.
Like in the top 5
Yeah.
that got hooked up. And I got a door flyer back like in November,
Yeah.
beginning of November of 23. And by
still
January of 24, I had it.
Okay.
So Johnny might be stepping in here for a second so we can catch it.
We'd call him. He's coming down to re-sign some plats and stuff on some property.
So, thank you, Kurt. I
Thank you
appreciate it.
very much.
One thing, Ron, in June's report, water report, how are we doing in production and stuff? And
Okay.
Just have that, because I know we're down 1 5 mil tank, so I'm just.
Last report I got last week,
It
or
was-
the last.
We're keeping up with demand.
Everything's full,
That's
yeah.
what I
We'll have Randy here with us also today. He's with the NMED today.
Right, I
We'll get a
knew
report.
that, but
Okay,
that way we could have that.
all right.
Is it
Perfect.
good? Okay, reports from municipal officials. Mayor Pro Tem, you want to go?
Actually, I don't have much to say. It's all been talked about.
Okay. Counselor Eby?
Well, it has all been talked about, but just want to give a hats off to the RSVP for, we went to their banquet there, and the volunteer hours that the seniors put in really helped to enhance the village as a whole for the services they provide for the different places where they volunteer. Also, the Ironman announcement was a big deal last month. This, I believe that lady said that there, by the end of that day, that there would be 1 million people that would know about that announcement by the end of that day, which is pretty, just almost mind-boggling. But this town's going to be hopping with Ironman next year, and then for 3 years in a row, and also with the Xterra Games this year, and the air races in Roswell that's going to spill over into the community. And T-Bone talked about the cleanup. You know, I did the easy part. I just flipped some burgers. The people going out there picking up the trash, they did all the hard work. So he thanked elected officials who came, but I want to thank all of the community. The members of the community came out in the wind. It's pretty windy that day, and they came out to volunteer to pick up trash. So I want to thank the community for their willingness to come out. And also, congratulations to T-Bone, to Matt, the disc golf. I heard y'all on the radio on the Monday with the mayor, and it's very exciting that you had such a positive response to that tournament, and the ongoing response, I believe, in the future is going to be very, very positive. And just going to the sanitary survey, I guess you call it a seminar or training for the different, what do they call, compliance officers for the state, just made me more aware, and the mayor was there to give a welcoming and to talk a little bit of the history of the water with Ruidoso, starting with the Little Bear Fire when he came on the council. And that just goes to show how far that the department has come as far as the water and the infractions that occurred at that time, and the state coming to the village at that time to show everybody what was wrong with the system, and now they're coming to show everybody what is right. But that also spills over into every other department because of their readiness. I believe that the silver lining out of all these disasters is it prepared all of the departments for what may happen and what actually has happened, and their willingness to jump in and get their hands dirty and roll up their sleeves and work diligently for the health, safety, and welfare of the community. So just want to thank all of the village employees again for the hard work you do. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I've never heard Joe talk that much, ever.
Did you actually hear me?
I could hear you this time. I was listening intently. Councilor Hooker?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, again, on a personal note, my wife has announced her retirement. Going to have that reception this afternoon, so we'll be going to that. Then going back to business, Everett Brophy was also a big player in the disc golf thing, so we want to make sure and appreciate all of his work. The EOC planning, the tabletop that went on.
It's good.
Yes.
For some, that's mind-numbing, sometimes like our meetings here. So now on the business side, I got a call about CCNRs and mobile homes and things like that being put into certain places. I came in, I reached out to Alex. He visited with me a little bit, and I just want to reiterate some of the things that I learned and make sure I'm on the right page. A CCNR was a covenant that a homeowners association may have, correct? And if that covenant says you can't have blue garage doors, then it's up to that homeowner's entity to enforce that. If somebody comes in and says, I want to put in a house with a blue garage door, and the village doesn't have an ordinance against that, then that can still happen. Okay, I'm getting north and south, so that means yes. And then as far as when we did the good faith where we had the houses and homes, properties that had been burned out, we said we were going to allow for mobile homes or trailers for 2 years, because you even asked about it, was there a moratorium on it, sunset. But I think we left out wordage, and it got opened up, and I say that as a question. I'm going to throw that to Michael if I can.
Yes, sir, Mayor and Councilor Hooker. That item is open and available to everyone within the village or anyone that owns property. It is not just individuals that have been impacted by fire or floods. Council did make that distinction initially when they approved the ordinance.
But then if they put a trailer of any kind of living form on there, they have to have a permit going towards building on there.
So two things happen. They do have 2 years where they can live on the property if they were impacted by the fire or flood. That is a distinction. If a resident just has the mobile home on their property, they will be building towards a house or moving towards that process. So they are in the process of a building permit. They are in the process of getting the construction done so that it can be completed within the 2 years. However, the caveat to that is if there is a hiccup somewhere in the building process where something is not allowed, things can't be done the way that they are, then we would have to have that discussion with any property owner that's in that process.
Okay, and then finally, back to P&Z, places where they're storing, whether it be equipment, maintaining, earth moving, that kind of stuff. Is there any ability to do that because of this? And specifically, I'll say Alpine Village. As soon as you come off, before you go up Swiss Chalet, there's a lot right there, and it's got stuff piled up, all kinds of earth moving equipment, piles of debris, that kind of stuff. Is that allowed?
Thinking the piece of property you're talking about is DOT.
That corner is owned by DOT?
There is a portion of the DOT that has that. I'd have to verify exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, Well, then, if we can follow up on that, and then
That's
the
where
difference.
those tiny homes were gonna be built on.
No, I'm saying like, right, you know, you got the All for Pets, isn't that what it is,
Yeah,
or whatever,
All for
on the,
Pets.
across this street, and then right back at the corner, it's got stuff piled up all along there.
Where that, so you come in, the road goes like this, then it cuts off into Sequoia, that piece of lot, oh, he's developing.
Okay.
And there are grading permits and things, there are grading permits and pieces of that that would be issued for them to keep those items there.
I just think it's something we're gonna have to continue to watch as we go forward, as far as if we keep going off this way. It's kinda like when we used to have the flags. You could have a banner only so many times, well, then there was banners everywhere and people got upset, so thank you for clarifying. I'm just passing on what my constituents asked me.
And Mayor and Council, what we are doing, because we have had some issues, we'll be working with Chief and with Alex on planning, where we're going to be in the field more with code and with our building inspectors and with others. We've identified several issues over the last several weeks that are either slipping through the cracks, may not have been caught, or where residents are calling and asking us if certain things have been permitted. And so we are catching a lot of those. There's a lot going on. And so with the limited staff that we do have, we're trying to catch everything, but we are missing pieces and we're aware of that. So we are going to be enhancing enforcement moving forward in the next couple of weeks.
Michael, would you go ahead and address Warrior Drive, the trailer house that's over there that we're getting a call after call after call?
So Warrior Drive, there is a piece of property that's owned on the backside of that mountain. They have, as Councilor Hooker brought up earlier, there is a permit that is being pursued for building on that property. That individual does qualify for the 2-year timeframe on where they can put a trailer on their property. And so it is a year into that, into the 2 years, and they are working through the building process right now. It's under plan review, and they are going through that process.
Okay, it just looks odd where it's at. That's the whole deal. Dr. Jackson.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to pass except to say Monday with the mayor gives you a lot of information, and folks should tune in because then they won't be tuned out on what's going on and arise all these questions that we've heard so furtively today.
Do you listen?
Yeah, I do.
Our listenership is doubled just right here
Yes.
today. It's awesome.
And it is on FM.
It's on FM 99.1, yeah.
And it also, I think, is on podcast for those that don't
Yeah.
make it for the original broadcast.
Councilor Corey.
Two quick things. I was happy to hear Michael talk about the memorial designation, and I hope that's something we can make happen. I know when the chief originally retired, we had contemplated something then, and it certainly still is appropriate. And then just a public service announcement, there is a Ruidoso Mescalero Unity Gathering Festival Saturday, May 31st at 10, the park in Midtown, corner of Sutterth and Country Club. The organizer, Shirley Estes, and last I heard, she's got 40 different vendors and musicians, and I think it'll be an exciting event. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, everyone. Now we'll move on to public hearings. Item number 1, public hearing for application submitted by Verde Development Limited Company located at 1056 Meacham Drive, Ruidoso, New Mexico, for transfer of ownership of liquor license distributor. Is that what that's DIS stands for? Dash
Yes.
0000899. And so, have we had any calls? I'm sorry, that's Raffles.
Go right ahead. You
Okay.
started, you
Yes.
finish it.
So Deputy Clerk Yvonne's going to make a statement.
So on or about March 26, we received an application for consideration of transfer of ownership and change of location of a dispenser liquor license from Big Two Inc. to Verde Development Ltd. We posted the notice of public hearings twice. Like the state statute says, we have to on April 10th and April 24th. As of this date, we have not received any correspondence of opposition or approval.
Okay. And at this point, we'll open it up to the public. And if there's anybody here that would like to speak for or against, and you don't have to, you can raise your hand now and be recognized. Is anybody online? Okay. If nobody, will close the public portion of this, and then I would entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve application submitted by Verde Development LTD Company located at 1056 Meacham Drive, Ruidoso, New Mexico, for transfer of ownership of liquor license DIS 000899.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Corey?
Aye. Thank you. It's just that easy. Do we have the final one over here? We can sign it and they can take it with them. Next, we'll do, thank you guys, sorry, waited so long. Item number 2, public hearing on adoption of ordinance 2025-03, an ordinance amending the Village of Ruidoso Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 54, Land Use, for case number SP 2025-31, Land Use Zone Designation Change Request from PUD Planned Unit Development District as designed within the site plan and concept proposal, the Country Club tract of the Cree Meadows Country Club subdivision, First Baptist Church applicant, and amendments to the zoning map of the Village of Ruidoso to reflect said zone changes.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. So this is an item that the Planning Commission considered and made a recommendation for approval. The planned unit development is a zoning district here within the village that allows for some innovation in combining characteristics and uses of a variety of different zoning districts. And in order to it to become fully enforced, it needs to be finally adopted with a designation. And so the designation that is being requested here is the M designation for mixed. Being familiar with the First Baptist Church campus, they have their primary use of their church there. They also have the Pregnancy Counseling Center, and the new addition that they're looking to make would be for the relocation of a manufactured home to this site. The representative from the church is also here this afternoon if you have any questions to ask of them.
James, you want to come up and sit down? Well, I don't think anybody's going to need it, but we hadn't seen you in a while.
I just saw that there's a home already there.
Yes, I will speak to that. So that is the home that is to be relocated. We spoke with Mr. Paxson this morning as well. They had this is being relocated from Meander, and so their opportunity to get that relocated came up. Knowing it's difficult to get those kinds of things arranged, they went ahead and did that. They still need, that is not where it is going to be finally placed. They still need to work through the various permits required from our department here at the city, and then also with the state. So should this be approved today, they would then go forward with getting those in place. Yeah.
And again, Mr. Mayor, staff's recommendation and the P and Z is that this is acceptable and
yes,
doesn't create anything else.
Yes, sir.
There were no protests.
No. And it was, the other thing, and just for clarification too, it looked to me from what I read, it was passed by acclamation. There were no nay votes.
Correct.
On P and Z. Mm-hmm. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so public hearing, so at this point, we'll open it up to the public. If there's anyone here that would like to speak for or against this? I don't see anybody here. Do we have anybody online? Okay, well, we'll close the public portion. I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of adoption of ordinance 2025-03, an ordinance amending the Village of Ruidoso Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 54, Land Use for case SP 2025-31, Land Use Zone Designation Change Request from PUD Planned Unit Development District as designed within the site plan and concept proposal, the Country Club tract of the Cree Meadows Country Club subdivision, First Baptist Church applicant, and amendments to the zoning map of the Village of Ruidoso to reflect said zone changes.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Solis?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Thank you very much. Good luck. I know it's needed. It's good to see you, James.
James, it was great to see you. Thank you for coming.
would add as a comment that this is a long-term process that we've been in for like 6 months. The property where this trailer was flooded.
Right.
And the city would like to donate it. And it's one of those things, something free is never free.
Absolutely.
We're at this stage. But the big reason for our interest and direction in this is hoping to make it part of a package for staff that housing is, as you all are
Very tight.
aware of,
Absolutely.
is always an issue, but this way we can put together a package and say, here's the housing that will be part of the staff for other people in the church. So appreciate you.
Great.
It's great.
Thank you very much. Awesome. All right. Regular items. Number 1, discussion and possible action on adoption of Resolution 2025-17, a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2026, July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2026 budget for all funds to the local government division of New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration. Welcome, Judy.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So after the budget hearings that we held with Council, there wasn't very many changes to the budget. We'll go ahead and go over them. For the general fund, we did increase for the Systems MD contract for our IT services. We added additional expenses of $163,558, and we moved the plotter purchase from next year to current year in the planning and zoning. We also moved the HR compensation study to current year, and we deleted the P&Z mailing of $15,000 because I believe they were gonna advertise a different way, and we're waiting on a judgment from legal on what we need to do. When we find that out, if I need to add money back, we can always do it in the first budget adjustment in July. So we did include the additional person at Wingfield Museum at $84,910. And we did increase some merchant fees for the convention center of $2,000. And in finance, we increased some line items that I forgot, uniforms at $360 and office supplies at $4,500. We also included some temporary summer help for the airport, and that is part of a subsidy from the general fund to the airport, so you'll see an increase in transfers out of the general fund to the airport. The total amount for the temporary staff was $13,990. And what else did we do? We deleted, out of lodger's tax, we deleted the STR software because I had double budgeted it in the general fund and lodger's tax, so we took it out of lodger's tax. And the payment for the increase in STR fee in the general fund. Other than that, we were able to include all the capital outlay requests that most of the departments had requested. We did move some of them from next year to current year, and those included the command post trailer. I believe we approved that. We moved it to the current year from the budget. We also got a plotter for P&Z in the current year, and the Parks and Rent building re-roof, we moved it to current year. Also a tilt trailer for the Parks and Rec Department, and we moved the restuccoing of the convention center from next year to this year. And We did also move for the street department, the AC heating unit, and moving one of their walls to current year. And it looks like that was it. So we did add an increase for the PD of 10% to wages. We added a STR inspector for P and Z. And we also added the education curator for Wingfield House. In enterprise funds in the RJU, we did add 2 PRV technicians and a heavy equipment operator and a water maintenance technician. And again, we did include the temporary help for the airport. And in forestry, we did add 3 foresters? For inspections on getting people's property in compliance and stuff. So if you have any questions on the budget, those were all the changes. If you have any other questions, I would take a shot at answering them.
Have we already posted some of the jobs that we've approved?
As soon as you give the okay to approve the budget.
Okay, so it's like we really didn't go after the command trailer already?
They're picking it up as soon as you say yes.
Oh, yeah, they're just waiting.
That was in the current
That's
year.
all I was waiting on. I just wanted to be consistent here.
Mayor and council, the command trailer we moved it to this
We moved it
current
to
budget.
this year,
They're
so-
on the way. They're in St. Louis right now.
Yeah. All right, entertain a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-17, a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2026, July 1, 2025 to June 30, 2026, budget for all funds to the local government division of the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
I knew you was going to say that.
Waiting on the call.
Okay, item number 2, discussion and possible action on adoption Resolution 2025-15, amending the credit card policy according to requirements of Department of Finance and Administration. You have a little handout here.
Yes, sir. So, in the budget hearings, there was discussion that we should be adding a convenience fee on credit card transactions since we are charged by merchant fees. So we went back to all our merchant processors, and as we discussed, every time we get a software and they take payments through the software, they want you to use certain processors. So this is a list of the processors that take some of our, and this isn't all of them. These are the ones that charge on the cards. A lot of some other companies that we do business with charge machine or rental fees for using their machines and stuff, so that's not on here. But these are the range of fees that are charged for cards. In addition, a lot of the processors also have additional charges depending on the type of card you have. So, but from what I could tell from the statements, our rates run from anywhere from 0.05% up to 3.15%, depending on which type of credit card you use. So, per statute, we can charge a convenience fee to try to recoup some of these costs. I'm not sure what y'all are thinking, but I was thinking about maybe about a 2.3 or some kind of percentage of the sale amount to recoup. Now I know on some of our merchant fees, we might be, some of the charges, we might be over what the processor is charging us, because depending on the type of card you use, but that might be a good place to start. I know we've checked with Roswell, and they are actually gonna implement a 2.8. But I'm not exactly sure. Since this will be the first time, that might be a good place to start. Remember, this is just a resolution. We can always change it later on if we feel it's too high or.
Mr. Mayor, but Judy, if I understood you correctly, this is kind of a good median value against all these others that you've listed?
Yes.
Okay, any questions? Entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve adoption of Resolution 2025-15, amending the credit card policy according to requirements of the Department of Finance and Administration.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Item number 3, discussion of possible action on the 100-year floodplain map for Cherokee Bill watershed. We have been waiting on this one. Thank you for being here.
Mr. Mayor, I provided the exhibits that I believe you have digitally, but I have hard copies too, if anybody would like them.
I think we've got it right here, don't we?
Meeting with constituents, sometimes it's easier to just pull something out of a file, so I've got those here if you'd like them. There are 3 separate exhibits that we've created, and just to acknowledge, I'm also joined by Candace Ward from our Houston office. If you have any specific questions on the floodplain analysis itself, she's available and can show stuff in real time if you'd like her to. So not sure what order you have your exhibits in, but I prepared one just showing the locations of historic fires. That's the one that looks like a Rorschach drawing here with lots of different colors. These are some of the fires that we've included in our analysis to ascertain the impacts of what they have done to runoff conditions. Obviously, we've talked at length about the South Fork and the salt fires in the past, but these are some of the others that have happened in recent history that are also influencing some of the results that we're getting. These are all the watersheds that we are analyzing as part of our support for the village. Beyond the upper Rio Ruidoso, we've completed that one, Carrizo Creek. We've now completed Cherokee Bill. Middle Rio Ruidoso is also complete, and we are finishing up our analysis on Devil's Canyon now. The second exhibit I have that we prepared is just the watershed basin map, similar to what we had seen. Let's see, that's the fire map. So this is. We have many copies of that one. So the watershed extent itself is designated or delineated along with the individual subbasins, because ridges and valleys create divides between how the water flows. And then this one is called.
On our attachments, it goes map 1, map 2, map 3, so.
Junction flows, yes, thank you. So the junction flows are the points in the watershed where various tributaries come together. And so you can see the additive nature of how flow increases. And if you kind of flip back in your head, you can see where the salt fire impacted the Cherokee Bill watershed. And it's effectively the northern third that was burned in this particular fire. The last exhibit that you have available is the one entitled Map Book. So this is a layout of the impact of flooding on specifically the portions that lie within the village. You can see there's an extensive grid of panels that were created because of the extent of the watershed, but what's presented here for you is just panels A5, B5, C5, and C4, because those are the ones that are specifically within the village limits and are also within areas that are currently mapped as FEMA floodplain. And so these will be the ones that Michael and Ron and others will use to continue to pursue funding opportunities and coordinate with FEMA and the State Department of Homeland Security. And then the map book also has two different varieties of layout or presentation. One is the floodplain itself projected over an aerial image out of Google Earth or Bing. I'm not sure where the imagery came from. And then the second set is same locations, but overlaid with street maps, because I know people want to know where's my house and what street is impacted. So if you have any questions, we're available both in person or virtually, Candace from Houston, so I stand for questions.
Questions, anyone? Well, now you can go to work.
Yes, sir.
Because we have a lot of folks wondering what we can get done and what they can do. So,
Mayor and council, just as a side, there is one final map that will be concluded for a designation on a new floodplain. Those are just areas that we're following up on that did flood significantly, in this case, Perk Canyon. That will be the next map that will officially come out. So you may be receiving phone calls related to Perk Canyon and not being able to receive building permits. That's the specific reason as to why. And we will be passing out information specifically for you on any comments that you may be receiving for that.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Not to belabor, but we've talked about it, and I just keep driving it home. If we go into that mobile home Cherokee, mobile home village, that is completely blue. So if you lost, you can't put anything back there. Like completely lost, your trailer was lost, you can't put one back. That's the first question, or more of a comment. Second one is if you had damage there, and we go into the 50% and all this kind of stuff, but that's really gonna be what drives the directive there in that area. This will.
Yes, sir. Mayor Crawford and Councilor Hooker. One of the items that you're going to see with Cherokee Village, about 95% of it is in the floodplain. About 5% of it is actually in the floodway. There was about 10 trailers that were directly impacted by the floodway. So if they were harmed more than 50%, they will not be able to put anything back into that area within the floodway. The remainder of those homes, so I believe it's 78, if those homes were directly impacted, if they are 50% or less impacted, which is called substantial damage, they can build back to where they were at. That means they would have to fix the current property that's there back to 50%. They could not replace it with a new trailer. Now, if they are more than 50% damaged, what they can do is they would be required to build to new specifications. So that would be raising to whatever the height of the water is, +2, the high water mark, +2. And once they do that, then they could place a new trailer on top of that facility. And so the property owners are waiting for this to come out as well, not just the trailer owners or those that rent within the area. So I think there's going to be some level of direction after this map comes out, so they know what they can and can't do and how high they would have to raise those homes.
Thank you.
Sir.
Anyone else? Okay, so you guys want to make a motion on approving the 100-year floodplain map?
I'll make a motion to approve the 100-year floodplain map for Cherokee Bill watershed.
Second.
Any discussion?
Question,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So, if I recall before FEMA, they don't approve this, they're just saying that, yeah, go ahead with your flood plan, and they still gotta do a report.
At one point in time, at some point in time, it could be 3 to 5 years from now, FEMA will come back and say, yes, we will approve or move to approve the adopted floodplain map.
Okay.
The main reason we followed the process that Brad's team followed is so that it would specifically qualify for FEMA requirements
Right.
on creating a floodplain. Once that happens, they will go through that 180-day process. They will put it out to the public. They will have discussions, receive feedback, and then they would move to approve it as well. And so since we already have it adopted, if they adopt the exact same thing, we would be good to go. We wouldn't have to do anything different. But if FEMA makes changes or witnesses anything that may enhance the current floodplain, based on what we have, we could have to possibly adopt a new map in the future that might be bigger. But based on the information that Brad's team collected and the modeling that they did, we think we're right on target with what FEMA's going to do.
And if I'm not mistaken, Brad, you've been working communications with FEMA on everything that you all been doing, right?
To date, Mayor and Councilor, we've basically been coordinating directly with the village, and then we've had some sort of cursory and preliminary discussions with the state FEMA department. And basically, they've said, continue as you are, you're on the right track. We are following the procedures and protocols. But ultimately, we will have to formally package everything up and then jump through all the paperwork hoops with FEMA. But the methodology we've used and the approach we've used is right in line with what their expectations and requirements are.
Okay.
So as Michael noted, that is several years down the road before we're ready to launch into the process of let's get FEMA's formal approval, which would then update all of the flood insurance maps. But what you have now is a working document that allows you to enforce things at the local level.
Okay.
And does it become part of the buyback program that can work through that for people's eligibility?
So, Mayor and Council, as part of the buyback, one of the things, and we did ask this question, if there is an enhanced floodplain that is larger than the current floodplain that was adopted by FEMA, yes, homes could possibly qualify, depending on what type of program it is, could possibly qualify if a program did come forward.
Regardless of them not owning the underlying land?
Counselor Corey, so specifically, no. Whoever the property owner is, out of the 3 programs that we're aware of, all 3 have to be property owners in order to qualify for the buyback program.
There was an earlier program for, and I don't have any numbers on that, people that owned just the home, the trailer home, that didn't have insurance. There was programs that they were going through with them.
Yes, sir. But that wasn't considered necessarily buyback, and I do believe that those programs are still active, and people are being recommended towards those programs today.
Roll call.
Yes, sir. Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Thank you. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you, Brad. I will
Appreciate
take
it.
one of those maps, please.
Item number 4 is discussion and possible action on first renewal agreement between the Village of Ruidoso and Melinda Mater for professional services for a DWI prevention assistant to run from July 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2026, increasing amount of contract from an amount not to exceed $66,000 to $69,000. Hello, Mr. Hanson.
Mayor,
How are you?
getting along.
Good. Thanks for staying for the whole show. Almost.
I'm requesting this increase in her salary. In the first place, just due to inflation, and I realize inflation doesn't seem to be quite that high, but you go down and start buying insurance and quality tires, and reality sets in pretty quick. Also, she's having to take a lot of online courses, which cost money. Plus, she's having to take some courses that she has to be in person in Albuquerque and Santa Fe in order to get her prevention specialist certificate, which she has to have in 2 years. I mean, she's got 2 years to get that certificate. And being a retired school teacher with a master's degree, she already has some of the requirements met. But there are several others that she's going to have to do this year and next year. DFA required, well, actually the law requires that we have a prevention specialist on board. When Linda Hand retired, that position was no longer filled, and I have 2 years to get that done.
Thank you, guys.
And I want to be sure that she
Yeah,
fulfills
is it
that
ready to go?
requirement.
Does anybody have any questions of Bill? Okay, well, I would entertain a motion, if so desire.
Mayor, I move approval of first renewal agreement between the Village of Ruidoso and Melinda Mader for professional services for DWI prevention assistant to run from July 1, 2025 to June 30, 2026, increasing amount of contract from an amount not to exceed $66,000 to $69,000.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Item number 5, discussion and possible action on change order number 7 with AUI, Inc. for rebid of hazard mitigation and stabilization for sewer lines and closeout. I just hit the wrong button. Closeout decreasing the total contract cost by $1,325,852.90 for a new cost of $11,744,459.15, including New Mexico GRT.
Mayor, Council, as it says, this is just a closeout dock for AUI. There was a decrease in the contract price of $1 million, a little over $1 million, 1.3. And this was due to some of the stuff they didn't use, like some of the blocks they didn't use, some of the field changes we made as far as the sewer line. And so this is actually the 9 sites that they accomplished in this project.
And then some of them, on the hazard mitigation, we took them out because we couldn't afford them.
Yes, sir. There's a total of 36 sites.
So this money was part of that Sandy Hook.
Oh.
Sandy Recovery Act
Yes, sir.
money?
Yes, sir.
And so what's left of it? She slipped
sure
out.
what-
So this is, that money's left, so the $1.3 million,
Yes.
we go back into that and we have to spend it on what?
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, I'm going to, just a number that we talked about was close to about $3 million. We have to use that money within the project area, any type of sewer, again, with some of the other sites, but we have to go through the process. We have to get it approved by FEMA.
Well, I mean, is that
Yep.
something that bridge money, or do we need to leave that?
It has to be strictly on the sewer
In this,
So
portion of it.
armoring?
Yes.
Mayor, I think we're going to use some of this money for the cammering and cleaning of the sewer line after this last flood. Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions? Need a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve change order number 7 with AUI, Inc. for rebid of hazard mitigation and stabilization for sewer lines and closeout, decreasing the total contract cost by $1,325,852.90 for a new cost of total $11,744,459.15, including New Mexico GRT.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
All right, thank you. And since Amanda's here, she always likes to
Yay,
laugh all on it.
Amanda.
So do we have any idea how close we are to raising the level in the forest?
Up here, Amanda, so we could
We got
record
the
you.
millions around the world would like to know.
Oh, sorry. All right, good afternoon. Last but not least, is this it? Is this it?
You
All
weren't even on the
right,
agenda,
perfect.
so yeah.
So we went into stage 2 fire restrictions May 5th. That came out, so no campfires, period. You see some of the signs around the forest. So yeah, no s'mores unless you're operating a little turn on, turn off gas grill. That's the only thing that you can really use.
So you can't use a gas grill?
You sure can, as long as it's got the on and off switch, those are allowed. Again, no smoking except within your vehicle, no off-road vehicles going off trails. They have to have a, oh geez, sorry.
Park arrest.
Park arrest, yes.
No explosives, so fireworks, any of that. Welding is being restricted from 1 PM to 6 AM, so that's a change, as well as chainsaws. Now,
So do they
again,
have to get a permit to run a chainsaw? Or do they need to call you and let you know where they're at?
they should have a permit anyways to go get fuel wood collections, so they would have to come out. But yeah, 1 PM to 6 AM, no chainsaws at all. And that's, again, Forest Service property. We're coming up with FAQs, because I'm sure you guys get a bunch of questions when we go into different restrictions. And we'll provide those to you once they're approved from the forest supervisor.
So you can still access the roads, drive on the
can
roads
still-
like going to Lake Bonita, you can still get back?
You can still access the roads, you can pull off as long as there's no vegetation 10 feet away from the road, but that's the extent of what we're allowing the folks to do right now.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for Amanda? Thank you.
And to answer your question, the last time you asked me about those those enclosures down the creek, those
yeah.
are aspen.
Oh, yeah.
So I did follow up, those are aspen enclosures to keep the elk out so
keep
that
them
the
alive.
trees can grow.
So once they get established, then they take the fence down?
Yes, sir.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right.
Thank you very much, Amanda. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Amanda.
it. I assumed that's what they were, but I wasn't sure. All right, and we don't have anything for closed session really, Ron?
No, and Mayor and Council, a reminder, I think Ginny or Yvonne called you. We have a special meeting scheduled for 11 a.m. on Friday.
Yes.
2 items on there, so thank you.
Okay. All righty. Well, that concludes today's agenda. This meeting is adjourned.
I didn't think we'd make it.
Mayor.
That was amazing.
Mayor runs a tight meeting. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.